Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is structured a little bit differently because I wanted to share with you guys my experience going to the largest secondhand luxury auction in Japan. It's also known as the Shicchy charity fair, and it's pretty much an open secret in Japan, especially amongst the secondhand luxury shoppers. The event is hosted biannually, one in November and one in June. So the next one is just right around the corner, and if you'll be in Japan in June, stay tuned at the end because I have a mini surprise for you all. But anyways, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so last November when I was visiting Japan, I just so happened to be there during their November sale, and I've heard that there was going to be a lot of people, so I made sure to get there a little earlier. I think this year and the upcoming one in June is hosted in the Ota Convention Center, so it is a good 30 minutes away from the city center. I'll put the exact address on the screen and in the description below if you guys are interested. It's actually pretty close to Haneda, so if you guys have a longer layover, you can definitely stop by. I got there around 7:30 and the line was already quite long. It actually was kind of insane how long it was, but it is very organized and very structured. They do this twice a year, so they definitely know what they're doing. They have security guards all over to ensure that you get into the correct line, because their lining system can be a little confusing, but if you just ask the security guard where the end of the line is, you should have no issues there. And by the time I got there, I was already on the third row on the side. I think the first person in line was actually there since 12 a.m. the night before, which is kind of crazy. They actually had Japanese television interview them. But anyways, don't let the lines deter you because it's a huge convention center, so they do let a lot of people in at once. I was maybe the second batch to actually go in, even though I thought I was pretty far back in the line. And while you are in line, they do hand out a little map of where everything is. I think the overall structure doesn't really change from event to event, but basically the handbag section is probably the most coveted, and so it is the largest section. They do have an area specifically just for LV bags. I think the way it's laid out, it's literally as if these LV bags are not worth anything. It's almost like a flea market style, free for all. Everyone just goes in and just grabs as much as you can. There is a rule saying that you can only grab 6 bags at once, but honestly, no one really upheld to that rule, and it was really hard for them to even regulate that rule. But just be mindful if you are going there to not grab too many on hand. They do have a small area for other brands, but majority of it is LV. So if you guys are looking for an LV bag, this is definitely the place to be. There are more expensive luxury goods, like better condition Chanel, Gucci, YSL, Prada, and things like that. And that is usually behind a counter, which is usually hoarded with people, but they do have some more popular pieces that are more sought after. You just really will have to really take your time to stand there, try to get into the crowd, and try to get a SA's attention to look at a specific bag, because it will get very stimulating. There is a 6-bag per person purchase limit, and I honestly think that's a good amount because you are going to be overwhelmed with so many bags at such amazing price points that you travel so far to come here. You definitely want to pick up more than 1 or 2 bags. But aside from bags, they also have clothing and luxury watches. We did try on a few Rolexes, but that section is actually after you check out all the bags, and so by that time I did not have room in my budget for a watch. But if you are in the market for specifically a luxury vintage watch, definitely make sure to stop at the watches counter to check out what kind of selection they have. They also have a partnership with Big Camera on used electronics, so you will be able to find some old cameras, even TVs, small appliances, and even game consoles. But that selection is a little more limited and not much people really pay attention to it, to be honest. But if that's something of interest, that's definitely something you can also check out. There's also a second floor where there is more luxury fine jewelry. They just have an assorted amount of sterling silver, gold, and even luxury branded jewelry. So if you guys are also in the market for jewelry, you guys can also take a look there as well. Alright, so that's pretty much the general gist of the whole auction. And just a FYI, they don't have great signal there. We do have a local eSIM in Japan, and even then it was kind of hard to try to FaceTime my mom and other friends to see what they want and what they like since we're there anyways. So just keep in mind, if you are looking to help other people purchase things as well, maybe get a list of what they want ahead of time so that you're not scrambling to try to call them with the lack of signal. I do appreciate that there is a little open area for people to just stop and sift through their findings so that they can decide on which bags they want, because when you're at the table and you're trying to grab all these bags and even sift through the bags of these bags, it's just impossible to even make a decision. You're really trying to just grab the one bag that you're eyeing, hoping that the person next to you doesn't grab it as well. Overall, I would say though, everyone there is pretty civilized and there's nothing crazy like fight or hair pulling going on, which is always a good thing. We easily spent a good 2-3 hours in there just trying to decide which bags we want, because at one point I think between me and my boyfriend we had so many bags. Here's me just carrying all of them, waiting for him to come back so that we can decide on exactly which ones to purchase. In terms of pricing, I would say that majority of it is really good pricing. If you ask me whether or not we can find cheaper ones at other vintage shops around Tokyo and even Bokos and Don Quixote, the answer is yes, you can definitely find cheaper options outside. So what I would recommend is, if you have time before going to the event, do some research and understand what prices are looking like for a specific bag that you're looking to get so that you can gauge whether or not it's worth getting it at the auction or waiting to try to find one outside of the auction. But I will say a lot of the conditions of these bags, even though it's thrown out onto the table, they're all validated. Every single one of them are marked and labeled, so if they have multiple pieces to them, they will have a corresponding item number of the specific types along with a part 1, 2, 3 for that number, so that's one package deal. But majority of the pricing is based on the condition of the bag itself. One of the things that Japan is known for is how amazing the vintage shopping scene is and how their standard of evaluating defects on the bags is really high, and so even the smallest scratch will affect the price of the bag. So if you're there, even if you find your dream bag, I would recommend taking the time to see if there's another one laying around, because chances are that is priced dramatically differently than the one you're holding on to. You do get these vouchers that you can use for the next event between June 6th and June 8th. And if you guys are interested in the vouchers, stay tuned to the end of the video to see if you can win some. Alright, so now let's get to the fun part. My wallet definitely was crying by the end of this trip because of how much we spent at this auction, but these deals were just a little too good to pass, and honestly I don't even know when's the next time I'll have the chance to go back to the auction, and so I wanted to make sure that I maximize my time, especially since I already took such a long flight. Between my boyfriend and I, we got a total of 15 bags. Now, as I mentioned before, there is a 6-bag quota per person. That's only 12 between the two of us. We actually went back the second day so that we can grab a few things for his sister, and I ended up coming out more. But anyways, the very first bag that I picked up as soon as I walked in is actually the cheapest one of all of them, and it's this cute little Celine. This is definitely a more older vintage style. I've always been wanting a smaller bag that I can just grab and go without worry. I love that there is a little zipper in the middle so that you can still keep your valuables safe, and you have 2 side pockets to really just throw whatever you need in for ease of access. If you just look at it by itself, you probably won't really notice its condition, but then if you look closely at the handles, it is scratched up pretty badly. And overall, I just think that this would be a really cute everyday bag. And so since we're on the topic of Celine, I did get 2 other Celine bags. The first one is this Boston duffel. I believe this is the medium size one. I could be wrong. I'm not too familiar with the sizing, but I thought this Boston duffel was a great size for a quick little day trip or for days that I have to bring a lot more things. I thought this was a pretty good price, especially the condition of the leather. It's really new. It has its little feet. I love this. And then the last Celine is actually something that we purchased on our second day there. My boyfriend actually found this. I've been obsessed with barrel bags since my first trip to Japan. All the Japanese girlies are using barrel bags, and I thought that the Celine one was so cute. It's a bit smaller than the Papillon. It's just the perfect size under the shoulder, and I love its vintage color. The interior is super duper new. It's the perfect size to go shopping and everything. And then next up, we have one of my favorite purchases. I've always been a Chloe girl, and I could not believe myself when I saw this and its price. It is a vintage Paddington bag. You have this massive padlock on it with a key. I was shook that this was just at the bottom of the table with a bunch of bags on top of it. It just fits so much, and I thought this was such a great find, especially since Chloe just revealed an updated version of this in their most recent fall winter runway. And yeah, I'm so proud of this find. Alright, moving on to LV. Like I mentioned, I've been obsessed with barrel bags, and the LV Papillon has been on my wish list forever. And let me tell you, at the auction, there were a lot of different versions of this. Even at other vintage shops in Tokyo, along with other book offs, you could easily find this anywhere. But all of the ones that I've encountered were all in pretty bad condition. And even though this one is on the more expensive end of what these bags go for in Japan, for the price, I thought that the condition of this is well worth it. Aside from a little bit worn out at the buckle, there's really isn't any defects to this bag. The interior is stunning. Even this little pouch is in great condition. But I will say, compared to the Celine barrel, this is definitely on the bigger end. But this is still my dream bag, and I cannot wait to be styling this on my next Japan trip. We're talking about LV, we cannot forget about the classic Speedy. I've been wanting a 25 for a really long time, and I can't believe I actually found one in such great condition. As they had a lot of size 28s. This is one of the few 25s that I saw. It is missing a lock, but you can easily find the locks in Japan for relatively cheap actually. I saw a bunch of them at the Takayama pawn shop in Fukuoka, so it's not really a deal breaker for me that the lock is not on it. But interior wise, it is super duper new. The leather itself are also in great condition. There is a little bit of scuffing on one corner, but that's not a huge deal breaker for me as well. And then for my mom, she actually purchased this little shoulder handbag moments. They also have like the crossbody version of this, but I know my mom will definitely get much more use out of this. There's two pockets up front. Inside is suede, and then a bigger compartment in the back with little interior pockets lined in it. The strap is a little bit on the older side, but for the price of this, my mom and I both thought this was a great steal. And then for our last LV piece, we have it's a full. This was something that my boyfriend wanted to find at the auction. He wasn't really interested in any of the other bags, but he definitely wanted a LV duffel because we did see a bunch of them for really cheap at the Takayama pawn shop in Fukuoka, but the conditions of them were actually pretty bad. This one though, great condition. Zipper is definitely on the older side. You can see that it's definitely much more worn out, but the handles, the interior and exterior of the bag are both amazing. Are both in amazing condition. The only downside is that because it was at the bottom of the table, it's been flattened so many times that you can still see the folds on the leather. So I've been trying to stuff this to help decrease it a little bit. And you guys will never guess how much this was. This was like $300 USD for a full LV duffel. This was definitely a steal. And the last thing is definitely the most expensive purchase, and it is this denim LV multi-pochette. It was actually under retail. We searched it. It's currently going for around like $4,000 on StockX, which is insane. We only got this for a fraction of that price. Everything is in amazing condition. Everything from the buckles to the bag itself is in pristine condition. Honestly, it looks like it's never been used. That's just how new this is. I'm honestly not that big of a fan of the red strap, but it is growing on me. The denim is absolutely gorgeous. This is definitely a investment piece. On to Chanel's. Now they do have a few Chanel pieces, but honestly, the Chanel counter was just bombarded with people all the time. I think the only time I actually got close was to look at a mini 22, but even then the pricing for that was a little bit on the higher end. If I were to pay that price, I might as well just try to buy it at the boutique. So I passed on the mini 22, but I did manage to snag 3 other Chanel bags. These were all just kind of lying around outside of the counter, mainly because it's on the cheaper end, which is kind of insane. The first one is actually a really fun one. It's this beach tote. I think it's part of one of their resort collections, and even though it's not leather, I thought that this was a really cute piece. The interior is massive. I honestly wasn't going to get this because it wasn't like a leather piece or anything like that, but my mom insisted that I got this because this would have made a great beach bag. Honestly, if you have kids, this can be a diapers bag. And the little owl on it is just so cute. And then next up, we have this Chanel bowling bag. I don't own any white Chanel bags, so this is my first one. As you can tell from the theme, I really like my bowling bag or like duffel style bags. I was kind of hesitant on because it's not your classic Chanel bags. Definitely one of those pieces that are more casual and more fashion based. But the condition of this was just so good that I just could not pass up on it. It holds so much stuff. I've already used this a couple of times already, and it's still in pretty good condition. There is a little bit of a mark in the back, which honestly isn't a huge deal to me. I just thought that it was a really great piece to have. And then last but not least is this right here. I actually got this as a gift to my mom. She brings a lot of these types of totes to work, and I just thought that this was the perfect size for her because she can honestly just throw whatever she wants in here. Super light, it's stylish, and it's also very subtle. It doesn't scream luxury bag, which was one of her criteria. She didn't want anything that huge, like loud logos on it. And even though this does have a logo, it's kind of blended in with the rest of the bag. This was a little bit on the more expensive side, but the condition of this is definitely much better than the other ones that I've seen at other places like Book Off. Overall, I think I did really good, and I hope that my experience helped you guys navigate what the event is like. And if you ask me, I definitely think it's worth going at least once, especially if you are vintage shopping in Tokyo anyways. I truly think that you'll definitely find some amazing pieces here at this event. And so if you are heading to Japan in June and or will be in Japan during the next event, which is June 6th to June 8th, I am actually giving away these vouchers that I received for all of my purchases. This is equivalent to 20,000 yen. It'll definitely help offset some costs. All you have to do to enter is subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my social medias and fill out the form that's in the description. All of the details will be listed out there, and winner will be announced May 5th. So good luck, and I hope you guys like this video. And let me know in the comments which bags were your favorite, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching!